That's it.
Round table.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to another session of Marketing Outside the Box. So happy to have you whether you're in the room or virtual, catching this later. We have amazing guest presenters for you all today, and I'll let them introduce themselves. But before we jump into that, I want to share with those who may be watching this or connecting with Hustle for the first time, a little bit about who we are and what Marketing Outside the Box is. So I am Magali Ascent. I serve as the Executive Director of Hustle Winston-Salem. We're a nonprofit that is focused on inclusive entrepreneurship. Marketing Outside the Box is one of the programs that we provide to our community locally and beyond, primarily because, what has it been now, 4 years ago or so, we surveyed our community of small business owners and entrepreneurs and asked them what their biggest need was. And believe it or not, marketing was at the very top of the list. And true as it was 4 or 5 years ago, it still remains true today when we talk to small business owners and entrepreneurs that's where they find kind of their primary struggle. And we know that there are many reasons for that, and Marketing Outside the Box tries to solve for that in pretty unique ways. We try to provide you with whether it's bite-sized information or high-level information that you can implement into your business as soon as you learn it. It's not something you need to, take 3, 4, 5, 6 more classes or understanding of. So that's what we'll attempt to do today. Our topic for the month of October is staying secure on social. I was like, wait a minute. Staying secure on social. So we'll be going over social media and making sure that you have ways to make sure your account is safe so that your business can thrive on different platforms. So I'm going to hand it over to 2 of our speakers today, John and Jonathan, and I'll let them introduce themselves, and you all can speak from any part of the room, and everyone will catch your voice.
Awesome. So, not to be confused, I'm Jonathan, he's John. I sometimes go by John, which makes it even more confusing, but just call us J and J, whatever you want to, how you want to refer to us. We are both fortunate and blessed to be members of the Inmar Intelligence family. And for those who are not familiar, Inmar Intelligence is a data analytics and e-commerce technology company here in Winston-Salem. We help consumers, retailers, manufacturers make smarter decisions as it concerns commerce and the ways that commerce is changing around the world. So we are based here in Winston-Salem and are fortunate to be a 42-year-old company now, who's just moved from our old location in the Innovation Quarter down to our new location on 4th Street. Also fortunate to now have a new CEO, Spencer Baird. So I started, and I'll let John introduce himself in terms of his role at Inmar, but I started out as a tech and at Inmar 16 years ago, hard to believe, and just went there looking for some temporary work, and that turned into a full-time opportunity in IT. That led to another job, led to another job, led to another, and 16 years later, now I'm in what they call client development. That's our fancy way of saying sales. So, so I'm a sales guy, but I'm also a tech guy. Always will be, always have been. I'm into gadgets. One of the things that I'll share, and both of us are going to tell you quickly in our intro, like, what is it about technology that we love, that drives us, that keeps us coming back every day? So for me, it's the fact that this is the way the world is operating now. And think about anything in your life that you do that does not involve technology. See if you can think of that. There's not much. One of my, I won't call it one of my favorite movies, but it's a great movie that I love, which is called, I think it's the 4th Die Hard movie. Forgot the name. Live Free or Die Hard. But it's the one where they shut down everything from economic to the power grid, and everything. And then everybody starts to realize, oh, shoot, we can't operate without these things, without all of these technology systems in place. So that's what keeps me coming back. I just love gadgets. I love the way that that they affect our world and how they're going to continue to affect our world moving forward. So MR Intelligence, 16 years, tech guy, sales guy as well, and fortunate and blessed to be with you today.
That's great, man. I'll try to follow that. My name is John Stevens, and I've been with MR since 2015. Let's see. I've been in tech though since professionally since 2008. Right now, I am a manager of software engineers here in the United States, also in India and in Argentina. And we build mostly payment systems around fintech. Some of the things that I like about technology is it's forever changing, right? And it changes very rapidly, For example, like, a new, 4K TV comes out, it's $10,000. The next year, a bunch of manufacturers are building the same type of televisions, and they're hundreds of dollars. And just technology just changes so rapidly, and I'm able to engage with that, build things around that. That keeps me engaged. And I think I'll be engaged in tech even when I'm older. But I think that's it for me, man.
Cool. So
I think you said it well. So.
all right, appreciate it. So really what we want to chat about today is the concept, and I'm gonna call out one of the words that's in the title. So obviously you probably are aware that the title of today's session is Staying Secure on Social. So the word I want to pull out of that is the word staying. And the root word of that, of course, is stay. So that's the amazing thing about technology, like John was saying, it's ever changing, ever evolving. And so there's no such thing as you get secure. You might be secure today, you might be secure for a couple of weeks, but if you're not keeping your finger on the pulse of what's changing, what's evolving, what's new with IG, what's new with Facebook, what's new with LinkedIn, what's new with some of these applications and platforms, you become more susceptible to attacks, you become more susceptible to intrusions, you become more susceptible to schemes. And so that's the part that I want to call out today, is that there's no silver bullet that says, I'm gonna hit this one button and I'm good. I never have to worry about this ever again. There's no such thing, because as smart as we hope that we are as tech guys, there's somebody out there who's much smarter. There's somebody out there whose very job when they wake up in the morning is to get into your account. That's the very thing that's what drives them. Same way that what drives us, and that's part of the reason why we talk about that. I want you to see how passionate we are about what we do. There's somebody out there who's just as passionate about disrupting what you do with your business on social media. So just wanted to call that out real quick as we start to get into some of these concepts and ideas about, we want to encourage everybody, take what you hear today and run with it. We're going to share some resources with you afterwards, a bunch of hyperlinks that you can go out and read. It's not to inundate you, it's not to confuse you, it's not to intimidate you, but it's more to educate. Because this is a continuous education type of field, especially when it concerns social media. So I'll say that, and then we'll go ahead and get started into a couple of these concepts and ideas. But question from Max.
Can I ask questions?
Yes, please. This is interactive, so let's just chat.
In what you said about, some people's very job is to wake up and do this.
Mm-hmm.
Can you clarify, and I don't know if it's a yes or no,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's more of a descriptive answer.
Okay.
Obviously we have hackers,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I don't know if that's who you're referring to.
Mm-hmm.
But do you mean also in the case of corporations or companies, and like they're out here, not to say they're doing something criminal,
Right.
but part of their job is making sure they know our habits or something like that also.
Yes, absolutely. So first, the short answer is yes. Corporations are included in that. Many of them are benevolent in what they're doing, but there are some who do have some hidden agendas. So I'm gonna introduce a term to you, which will be there's an article that will be in the materials that you receive afterwards that goes into this a little bit deeper. This concept called social engineering. And social engineering is exactly what you're describing. It's getting to know your habits, getting to know what sites you browse, getting to know what it is that you like, what it is that you subscribe to, and feeding off of that for whatever reason. Now, again, some of it is benevolent. Like one of the things I was talking to my brother-in-law a couple weeks ago, and he's kind of a conspiracy theorist in a little bit of a way. He's talking about, man, they're watching us on this, they're watching us on that. I'm like, yeah, that's always a possibility, but I was trying to get him to see some of the benefits of trends and getting to know your habits. And I said, you know what? I don't mind saying this because I'm a man of God. I tell people all the time. But my YouTube feed has gotten to know me so well that every single morning I wake up, the first thing in my feed is a prayer. There's a video for prayer. I don't even have to go searching for it. It's literally at the top of my feed every single morning. So there's good things. So, but to your point, yes, there are some who are out there with hidden agendas and who are looking to use your information for their benefit. Absolutely.
I could add to that too by saying, like he was saying, so there's a concept of like black hackers and white hackers, right? The hackers who security.
You mean literally black people, white people?
Not black people and white people, but the concept.
Did y'all know?
Good question, though.
So basically, one is trying to do something, illegal, right? The other is trying to do something for research purposes.
It's black illegal.
Come on now, you know.
We don't have the
You
time to
already
talk
know.
about that today.
We can't unpack that. We can't
Okay.
unpack that.
Another session.
But right, so like you were saying, there are these security engineers, they do this, to make things more secure, right?
Mhm.
If they're able to hack a company's resources, they usually reach out to that company and say, hey, XYZ is a problem. For people who are doing things illegally, also I want to point out, they're not just doing this just for fun. They're doing this so they can sell their account and make money, right? So if you have an account, a social media account with, 100,000 followers, they can sell it to somebody for a lot of money, right? And it's not yours anymore. They change everything and the account's gone. So just keep that in mind. And then also talking about profiling and social engineering, right? This is kind of outside of the business, but personal as well. If you put a lot of personal information online, I could take the information and, maybe I know that you have an American Express card. I can call American Express and I can pretend like I'm you and get information reset and changed. And now that I can change that account to come to my address or something like that. There's a lot of different ways. You just have to be, cognizant of those type of things. So,
I know y'all have an agenda because I got 50 million follow-up questions from everything y'all just said. So I'm
No, it's cool. So weave them in as we're talking.
Yeah.
Because first thing that we want to talk to you about is what you might call the low-hanging fruit, which is just just password security. Okay. So one of the things about the way I like to look at cybersecurity is kind of like physical security. We all know that we're supposed to lock our cars. We all know we're supposed to lock our houses. But how often you go out to walk the dog, you forget to lock the house? I got a buddy whose car was stolen a couple weeks ago because he left his car unlocked. He's notorious for leaving his car unlocked. So we don't think about some of the things that are just low-hanging fruit that we can do sometimes. So password security, we'd be remiss if we did not mention the complexity of passwords is very vital. So making sure that passwords are at least 10 characters, making sure that there's at least one special and one capital character in the password. And then changing the passwords frequently throughout the year. It's recommended, and I don't do this myself, and just be perfectly honest, I need to catch myself every so often, but it's recommended for your social media accounts to change your password every 3 months. I know that's a lot.
How much work?
So exactly. And that's what some of the intruders count on. They're like, you know what? If I get his password or if I can start figuring out, I should say, his password in February, I can run an algorithm that just continues to work in the background. By the time we get to September, he ain't gonna have changed the password, so I can still figure it out. I got time. So they count on you not changing your password. So that's the first thing, is changing it. And one quick tip for those who have, I should say more of a heads up, for those who have more followers, you are more of a target. So for someone who's only got 50 followers, they're not worried about you because that's what your reach is.
Is that accurate also for business accounts?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely. Especially if those who are connected to you and who are following you are also high targets. So it's like, that's like almost like a double whammy. It's like if I can get access to business A and they're connected to business B, I might be able to get access to both business A and business B.
I was gonna ask, are you saying that in reference to like, let's say a hacker figures out my business's Facebook password and they automatically have access to my Instagram because I have the 2 links?
Yes,
Or
that's part of it.
that my business is doing business with Sheridan's business and they go into my account and they're like, they go initiate some sort of contact with Sheridan, and Sheridan's thinking to me, or are you saying that with both?
Yeah, both.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so like they send her a message with a link to something, she's gonna trust it, because
So it could literally have nothing to do with me. They could just be trying to get her.
Yeah.
And they see
Yeah.
like, okay, we can't get her, but these are the people that are around her.
Exactly.
Right.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah, and that's why it's good to interact with those who, who send you links that you may question. So you're in IG and you get a message from somebody, a private, just like a straight DM from somebody saying, hey, check this out. It's a good practice to follow up with that person outside of the social media platform. Like, hey, did you send me a link today? And they're like, yeah, I sent you that. Go ahead and check it out when you get a chance. Great. Click on it. Because sometimes, to that point, somebody be like, no, I didn't send you anything today. So it's good to check every so often when you're not sure about something, you're not suspicious. That's one of the tips that's going to be on the handout we send you is ask questions. It's always good to ask questions. Yes, sir.
Would you recommend that businesses have like an internal protocol, or if someone does send a message like, we do not open files or links within a DM at all? Like, we only do those things through email. Would you recommend those things, or would you just say, play it by ear, like by sight, and try to make the best judgment?
Yeah, it's a little bit more of the first. Let's definitely have protocols in place and figure out who your trusted sources are.
Okay.
So for example, I'll use Hustle for example. You guys know that you interact with Flywheel. You guys interact with Winston Starts. You guys interact with probably Greater Winston-Salem Eats. So you might have again, using the color term, you might have a white list. It's benevolent, that list is of those that you trust. So you might have a white list of organizations, and if an organization reaches out to you, they're not on your white list, that's when you start to ask questions. That's when you start vetting.
Yeah, I like that you asked a question about internal protocol, and I think that's something businesses should do. That's a great idea. I think, using Hustle again as the example, organizations like ours, what you're suggesting is kind of tough. We are a service to the community organization, and I would say 8 times out of 10, we're getting messages from strangers, and we should anticipate getting messages from strangers because these are people who are most times, and I would say just about 80% of the interactions have been people like, hey, I heard about Hustle, or you know what I mean? Like it's not.
Yeah, there's not a problem with the messages.
Right.
It's the content of the messages.
Yeah, but a lot of times people are saying, like, 'cause and I mean, I think we talked about this, but you know,
Mhm.
people are asking us to share their business, share something in our story or in our, so there are typically videos or links or
Yeah.
whatever.
So if you can easily recognize the URL, like if you're looking at a URL, uniform resource language,
Is that what that stands for? Okay.
location, that's what it is, yes. So many acronyms, you know, IT and medicine are known to have the most acronyms of any industries out there.
I did not know that.
But if you look at the URL and you see it's https://YouTube, so and so and so and so, usually not a problem.
Mhm.
It's those suspicious links when someone says, can you share this in your story? And it starts with bit.ly, you know, a lot of those are good, but
You know,
some of those you want to question. So here's a couple of tricks you can do. One is you can highlight a URL and copy it into a notepad, not into a browser, because copying it into a browser is just like clicking on it.
Yeah.
But copy it into a notepad and look at the URL, because oftentimes you can't see the full address. So copy it into a notepad, look at it. If it's just a whole bunch of crazy characters, you probably want to question that. But again, if it looks okay, and especially if it comes with a preview, because sometimes when you're posting a video, it comes with a preview.
Mhm.
And so those are fine. But it's the content, just question the content.
Yeah.
Before just clicking.
Is there somewhere we can look or a general rule of thumb you all can give us as far as what's considered a crazy type of characters for yours? They all look crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a few examples. Yeah, we can follow up, send you some. I mean, because we can describe them to you as something that starts with, it does not have a domain name. That's a clear sign right there. So for example, our domain name at MR is mr.com. Your domain name is probably WS Hustle or WS, had it backwards, hustlews.com. So if you sent me a link and it said hustleps.com or hustleus.com,
Okay.
I'm reading it really fast. So I saw all of those characters and I missed that the W was replaced with a U or a P or something like that. Or it said hustle Winston-Salem / without the .com. So it's little things like that you want to look for, because most of them look at eyes glance, they look good. And these intruders are also, in addition to the fact that they're counting on you not changing your password, they're counting on the fact that we're all moving so fast and that we don't read. I mean, how many times you sent somebody an email and they respond back, you're like, you didn't read this. You didn't answer. I asked you 2 questions. You didn't answer neither one of them. You know, because we're just moving so fast these days. So we just got to read the URLs and ask questions. Yes, ma'am.
Is there a thing that's like a temporary hack? Like I've gotten it where it's from friends and family, and they just posted yesterday, so I know like they're still in their account. Yet they sent me something random, and then I asked them about it, and they're like, "I didn't send you that." And they don't even have it on their end. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Temporary.
I think
Like
I know
it's
what you're saying.
usually Messenger and Instagram DMs that I've seen it the most, and
Okay.
it's with an active account,
Mhm.
but they did not send me that message.
Okay.
Hmm.
I see what you're
So that's actually happened to me
Yeah.
before once.
Yeah, it's happened to me.
Probably do it there. That's actually happened to me once. It's the user doesn't know at all that their account has been hacked until people start telling them.
Right.
Once they start seeing the stuff, but I've heard people refer to it like temporary hack, partial hack. The way that I got out of it, this was years ago, but was to just change my password.
Yes, I was gonna ask her.
if somebody's saying something, then they already had that.
You. Oh, wait, you mean the person?
The person.
Not you.
Not you.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh my gosh.
The person that's sending something random, if they're already sending messages out, their account's already compromised.
Yeah,
So
okay.
they can change their password, like you said. But that kind of segues into our next topic,
Mhm. Yeah.
which is two-factor authentication.
Oh my God, y'all, I hate those things too.
I know. It's-
Okay, I know we're about to switch to the two-factor, 2FA, I hear people call it.
Yep.
Prior to that though, so my experience with passwords itself on social media, like I would say in the last 10 months maybe,
Mhm.
and I don't know if this is something I asked social media to do and forgot that I did, but it seems now everything is remembering my password for me, and knowing me, I probably say yes, because I don't remember. So I'm now at a point where I never know my password. So like, I'm trying to get rid of a particular social media account. I can't, because you have to know your password to delete it. It's just gonna be there forever. Because it just doesn't give you an option to reset, because you have to know it. But I was like, you decided to remember it for me. So is there a way, not is there a way, my question is that a security concern when we say yes? Remember, or is that safer? Because typically the social media platforms themselves are telling us it's safe to have them remember our passwords for us.
Yeah.
So what do you all recommend? We let them remember our passwords, or we don't?
Yeah, we'll, so let's answer this.
Okay.
And we'll transition into the next two sections, which kind of all fit
Okay.
together. So the short answer is it more secure? No. It's more convenient? Yes. But not necessarily more secure. So anytime you have, what's that?
Are you saying so it's less secure?
It's less secure because you have released control or knowledge of something that pertains to your account. So you now have less knowledge of your own information than the platform does, or whoever has access to the platform can get into the platform. So the two things there. One is we would highly recommend anybody that's got multiple platforms, which I think we all do these days, is definitely consider a password manager. So password manager is a third-party app. So first of all, for anybody that's not familiar, third party is somebody other than you and the platform in which you're engaging. So you're the first party, they're second. Third is some other application. So a third-party application that into which you plug your passwords, and it serves as the go-between. Now you might be thinking, well, isn't that kind of the same thing? I'm just, but these particular password managers, their job is to do this. That's what their companies or their organizations are built to do, is to manage passwords. The social media platform, a password is just a means to an end. So these organizations, some of them you have to pay for, but you enter, okay, I'm on Facebook and here's my password, and it stores it. I'm on LinkedIn, here's my password, it stores
And
it.
they do this for businesses, organizations?
Like,
do it
is
for
this
Facebook.
LastPass?
Yeah,
That's one of them.
Did you hear that, Madeline?
I haven't heard of Ping before.
But Ping's one of them.
Okay.
Two-way factor or something like that. It's kind of like the Google security thing or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Authenticator.
Yeah.
Google Authenticator, yep. So, and we're gonna get into that one in just a minute too. So password managers help with exactly what you're describing. So that's one thing. The two-factor authentication, you want to hit on that real quick, and then we'll talk about the authenticators too as a part of that.
Yeah.
It all kind of fits together.
Yeah, so you were kind of complaining about the 2FA. So for those who don't know, two-factor authentication is basically in addition to your password, right? So it basically verifies your identity with the physical device. Most of the time, that is via text message. Sometimes it is also via email. But something in addition to your password, right? We highly recommend doing this because, for example, there could be somebody in India, right? And they hack your account. With two-factor authentication, they're not going to get into your account, right? Because you got to verify your phone, your email. Another thing that's useful with use two-factor authentication to verify your account. So you don't have to worry about, okay, if I forget my password, I can give my account helper. You can just use the two-factor authentication and then you reset your password. For businesses and also for personal accounts, this is highly recommended.
And sometimes forced.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you don't even have a choice if you work for some company.
How do we make that a forced thing? I'm sorry. I heard you.
No, you're fine.
Sorry.
Cool, cool. So it's,
Like,
depends.
let's just say you have a Google business account. like-
Okay, you can do.
Yeah, if you're on if you're on a Google or a Microsoft platform, it can be forced from the server level. So that everybody who logs into the server under your domain.
Yeah.
Has no choice.
Yeah.
So that's what we have at Inmar. Like you have to have two-factor authentication if you're on our domain.
Yeah.
Where it becomes tricky is for our small and medium business owners who are just starting off, who all they have is like Gmail accounts. They don't have a domain that's centrally managed by a server team of sysadmins, system administrators. That's where it becomes a little tough, where you have to, each person has to go in and set it up on their own. So it becomes a little bit more tricky there, but yes, it can be forced from a corporate level.
So, but it could be forced from a corporate level, I use that word loosely, even for small size.
Yeah, as
As
long
long as you have that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
In addition to that, hopping back to the conversation about passwords,
Mhm.
is there a way that a small business like Hustle could say, hey, you have to change your password to all employees every 3 months?
Mhm.
Like that's required.
Yeah.
So, and that's, like, was that within Google, is that a third party?
Yeah, within Google.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
very.
then also, is there a option for, no, you just said for two of it.
Yeah, so that's the amazing thing, and this doesn't really, well, I guess this does have to do with security, but I'll make sure I get the name right. I think it's called Google Workplace now. But they just rebranded. It used to be called Google for Nonprofits, but
Same thing?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, they replaced it, probably within the last year or so. But a lot of nonprofits aren't even aware that if you are a certified 501c3, you can get a free Google suite, not just one Google account, a Google suite, to where everybody in your organization can have a Google account, 20 gigs, I believe it's still 20 gigs of Google Drive storage, and full access to all Google apps. That's Docs, that's Sheets, that's Slides, etc. And with that comes the platform, which allows you to have the security of two-factor authentication, forcing the passwords. So it is a little bit of a cumbersome process to go through because you have to get approved, you have to upload documents to show that you're a 501c3, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not sure how it works for small and
Yeah, I was
medium
gonna say, do
businesses
they
that are
offer
not
anything for small
nonprofit.
business owners?
Right.
For small business owners, I mean, you can get Google Workplace. It's not free though.
Right.
But they do have a starter account, and I think it's like $16 a month. So it's nothing like crazy.
Yeah.
But again, even if you get that, you can have security, enforce security practices, authentication, things like that.
So y'all highly recommend small business owners get that starter kit because it helps the security side. of
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely. Now, here's the tricky thing about that, and I'll go to your question right after that. You gotta have somebody to manage. So it all sounds great, and we don't want to oversell it as in, once again, like I was saying before, that you just get everybody on the platform, you hit a button, and you're good. I mean, there's certain things, like once you force two-factor authentication, that's in place. Once you force password changes every 3 months, that stuff is in place. But it's some of the other security measures, and because there's so many different features in Google that little check boxes here, little radio buttons here that you got to go in and select. So it's also recommended that whether it's through a full-time system administrator or even if you bring in a contractor to just, hey, go through it. This is what we want to have. Give them a month, pay them for about a month or so to just get you all taken care of. And then maybe pay them every so often to come back in and do a site survey and make sure everything's still secure. So that goes back to what we were saying before about staying. It's this continuous, every 3 months, every 6 months, whatever your cadence is, making sure that everything is still up to date and compliant. So, yes, sir, you about that?
Does the security features that come with Gmail and Google Workspace, does that apply to all Google apps? So for example, let's say our organization is using Google Drive as a nonprofit or small business. The same security features go, like if I share a document outside of the organization, there's like a system in place that's available to say, hey, you have to confirm that you have access to this document, or we have to provide them a code or a specific access. Because right now, we know that Google Drive is very not secure.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll get prompted by Google, like if you were going to send something to me at Inmar from hustlews.com, you would get prompted, this person is outside of your organization. So Google is very good about letting you know who is already granted access just because they're on the same domain and who is external. Questions like it'll literally pop up, are you sure you want to send to this person? Or it'll say, this person does not have access to this document, and you have to click an extra button in order to grant them access. So it's an extra step. It's their way of saying, all right, you sure? Like, so once you click that button, then they say, all right, pass it on. But yeah, Google's good about that.
But I want to ask you a follow-up question. You said it was insecure.
Yeah, Google Drive, like just a regular Gmail account. I know you can restrict the access to documents, but just the entire sharing feature of Google Drive, like Google Drive is, I think you refer to, you're the ones who made this very aware to us. Google Drive is a part of Google. So for example, if I were to type in, I don't know, contract template, and it was under Hustle's Google Drive, that document could pop up on Google page. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, if we don't, so I think what he's referring to, correct me if I'm wrong, and this is important, I think, for business owners to know. My experience is there are certain parts of Google, if you don't make it where it's not public or something, Google is such an open worldwide platform. And unless you do that, and most people, I don't know, I don't think Google's default is to secure it, which is weird. Someone can search things and your files can pop up.
That's a good question. I don't know. So I know for our organization by default it's secure. It may be like Jonathan was saying, a setting within your Google Workspace where you need to say, okay, documents need to be public by default or secure by default. But I do know Google has 3 settings, which is you can share a document within your organization, or 4. You can share a document or have a document private to you. You can share a document within your organization. You can share a document to specific people. Those people have to have Gmail accounts. And then you can just have a document that's unrestricted. You know, anybody with the link.
And it's open to the public.
Right. So the default thing may be an issue and something you guys might just have to look to the workspace settings.
Another benefit of the centrally managed administration is those settings are global across the board. So let's hit on, how much time we have?
About 13 minutes.
Okay. So let's see, let's do, because we're going to skip a few of these and everything. There's going to be a bunch of hyperlinks in the handout that will be sent out afterwards. Some stuff that we did not get to today, or will not get to. So let's talk about if you believe you've been hacked. Let's go through that a little bit, and then we'll talk a little bit about deceptive media. That'll probably be the 2 things we can capture. So here's the tricky thing about if you believe you've been hacked. There's certain tools that you'll hear described about that are third party that you'll be told can help you recover your account. Don't do that. Okay. If they say XYZ app can help you recover your Instagram account, if you have exhausted all efforts with Instagram/Facebook, then maybe consider one of those third-party apps. But your best bet, a lot of people don't think about this, your best bet is to start with the platform itself. All right, so it's intimidating and it's a little cumbersome and it's very tedious to recover from a hacked account, because I would say there's no less than 10 steps, probably, to recover a hacked account. And at a certain point, you might say, you know what, I'm just gonna set up a new account. Because that's what, whenever you see somebody who has multiple accounts on Instagram, or they say, click here to go to my other account, or this is my only account, whatever, they probably have been hacked and they've set up a second account, or people have had to be redirected, because at a certain point, it does get cumbersome to do it. Because, I mean, there's everything from, going through text and calls to recover a password. I mean, there's even facial recognition that you have to do sometimes to recover an Instagram account.
That's safe.
Well, it's to them, yeah, to them, it's,
Okay.
that's how they can match up. Okay, this is the face that first set up this account. These are his or her pictures, and we can match that up with the picture of the person who's being taken right now. So all of that authentication goes on behind the scenes. But I just say that to say, start with the platform. They'll take you through a myriad of steps to recover the account. Obviously, the password being changed would be the first step. But then there will be several steps that take place afterwards. So always start with the platform in terms of recovering a hacked account. Yes, ma'am.
So like with Instagram, like how would you, cause like do they have an email address? Like they make it hard to get into.
They do. They do make it hard, I should say. I don't think they have a direct line.
Yeah, they do have steps though.
Yeah, they have steps.
Direct line, like a phone call?
Any type of direct line,
Yeah.
they make it hard to get in contact.
It's funny. You're more likely to find a direct line on Google, which is an even bigger platform, than you are with Facebook and Instagram.
Wow.
Which is crazy. But I've never had to use one. I'm not saying that there's not one, but I'm not aware that there is.
No, they're just steps. They have steps online.
Yeah.
And like Jonathan said, you have to do authentication stuff behind the scenes, which usually includes communication via email. Sometimes it wants a driver license, senior driver's license, things like that. But it's usually all via email.
Yeah. Which is hard because you have to wait.
Yeah, you gotta wait. It sucks.
Yes, sir.
Are there, the same way that it's people's jobs to hack into your accounts?
Yeah.
Are there people, is this common to see, for a person to see, okay, I know this person's account has been hacked.
Mhm.
I'm gonna reach out to them, because I know if I get a certain amount of their information, I can unlock their account, but I'm gonna, for me, they get into it instead of giving, them their access back.
Mhm.
Does that happen, or am I making that up? I just think I'm thinking.
You mean if they're trying to help you recover your account, or they're trying to get even more information?
They're trying to get more information from the person whose account has been hacked,
Gotcha.
so that they can hack into it.
Right.
So I can get back to you.
I would say probably like the third party apps that he was talking about.
They probably do that.
Yeah, we'll help you recover your
Mm-hmm.
account. It's really hard to know which one of those to trust.
Got you.
And I would say they will probably be ones that would
Yep.
attempt to do something like that.
Okay.
Exactly. Because they know, again, they're counting on your desperation. And they're saying, hey, we know how important this account is to you. So pay us this, or just allow us to take a look at this for you. And meanwhile, their intentions are not good. So let's see. So real quick, we'll hit on deceptive media. Right now, well, anytime, but especially right now, we're going into election season. We are in election season. So this is a time, especially for us to be very mindful of the messaging that we're receiving, especially from certain parties that are claiming that they know particular information about, a particular candidate, or they know information that would benefit us, or they want us to donate to a particular cause. So I just bring up election season because it's a heightened time, but really any time. And the main thing, it kind of goes back to what we were saying before about those who have more followers are more of a target. So this goes back to also what we're saying about ask questions, because the deceptive media is not always the end game. It's luring you in to get you to subscribe to a particular channel, to get you to get more views on that particular channel so that they gain your trust. So be mindful of who you follow. Be mindful of the sites you subscribe to. Be mindful of who you repost and what you forward onto others, because anytime you interact with a particular article or a particular post, you are now in one way or another connected to that post. So anything that you question in terms of the validity, don't interact with it, don't post it, don't subscribe to it, don't forward it, don't like it. But just be mindful that it's not just the links. Sometimes it's the stories that are meant to lure us in and pull us in. So we definitely want to make sure that everybody's got their antennas up about deceptive media that's out there to gain your trust. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just add this, going back to interacting with posts, which could like hurt your business. And I think Instagram just started doing this, right? So if you interact with certain posts, person A can see it and it'll say such and such business like this post, or interact with this post, and it could be deceptive media, and then they could feel some type of way about that. And then now they're looking at your business like, deal with that. So that's just to keep that in mind as well.
I'm missing that went over my head.
Yeah, so like Twitter, Instagram, not TikTok, but like Twitter, Instagram, it doesn't, okay. But TikTok also. So like if you like a post, right? If he likes a post and you follow him, then you'll see it on your feed that he liked the post, or he did something, he interacted with that post, so you might like it too. So we were just saying, interacting with deceptive posts or deceptive media posts could have a negative impact on your business, because it might, someone might feel some type of way about that messaging.
Got it.
And then they'll see that you interact with your business, interacted with that. And then,
Is there, how like with telemarketers or something, like you can put yourself on a do not call list somewhere with the government or something like that? Is there something like a website similar to that for social media or platforms on the internet where we could be like, don't come in my business? Please.
Right.
Like that's not a thing.
Not across the board.
Okay.
There are options to, for lack of a better word, unlike, like if you say, I don't like this, or you got the thumbs down option in certain platforms, which they've recently taken away from YouTube actually, which is more of a, it's not really a security feature, it's more of a, we don't want anybody to feel like their videos are not good type of thing, yeah. But there are certain things you can say, it's kind of like blocking somebody else's profile. So you can block profiles that send you what you might feel is a deceptive post, or you feel is something that is malicious. And then of course, for those that still have it, again, there's the thumbs down, which says, do not send me this anymore. It's kind of like when you go into Spotify and they try to feed you a song. Like if I got a Beyonce song, I would say thumbs down. I'm just messing with you.
Oh my God.
I'm messing with him because he and Mendez, they're part of the Beehive, and we were having a conversation about Beyonce, but we're not gonna get into that right now. But what I was saying is that if you got fed something that you did not like or that you thought was malicious, there are certain tools, it depends on the platform you're in, to say, don't send me this anymore. But no, there's not one across the board to say.
Another way that businesses combat this is they just, on the business account, they don't follow anybody. Or it's very.
See, and we've been, in all these years that we've been doing marketing outside the box, we kind of don't encourage that. You want to interact with other businesses, especially if they're similar to yours.
Mhm.
You know, you people that support your business, you want to follow back, and you don't want to be one of those businesses that think you're so special that don't be Beyonce and have one follower and then be your husband. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Love
yes.
Beyonce, but it's just crazy. That's why
I want to.
but I'm just not really cheating about me. But still, you know what I mean? So I don't know. It's such for marketing, honestly,
Mhm.
I think it's such a fine line for businesses
Mhm.
in trying to follow the rules that keep us more safe and secure online,
Mhm.
but then also making sure you're using these tools to help your business grow.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's really.
You're right. You're
So
right.
think about it like this.
Yeah.
No, go.
No.
So think about it like this. Outside of social media and outside of technology, think about the vetting that you do when you're about to go into business with somebody. It's the exact same concept. It's like, there's a bunch of people that are out here who I could partner with, but I need to know a little bit more about you before I quote unquote follow you.
Right.
Or before, I set up a meeting with you. You reached out to me, you want a meeting, but I don't even know who you are. Let me go check out your website. Let me go check out your social media. You know what? I think I know somebody who used to work for y'all. So let me talk to them real quick, find out what's the deal. So it's a similar concept to your point. It is tricky, but it's the same type of vetting and the same type of asking questions that we do outside of technology. We just have to be more mindful of it because, again, we're very click and subscribe and like and stuff because we think it's all just benevolent and just, so we're really quick to do that, but we're more cautious in the real world. So we got to take some of that caution that we have IRL and apply it to our online lives as well.
Yeah, I know we're right at time, but I just want to ask more, if that's okay?
Yeah.
Okay. As I think about a lot of the small business owners that will watch this recording, and even those of us that are in the room, we all have businesses. As we try to be solopreneurs, or some of us have very small teams, can you recommend, and I know I'm asking this on the spot, so it's okay if you don't have immediate answers, but can you recommend what we should be looking for in someone that we bring on to our teams to manage social media with that particular perspective? Because I think most times we are not hiring with security in mind.
Right.
We're like, are you good with social media?
Right.
Can you post all the time? But
Absolutely.
I've never thought about that aspect.
Absolutely.
Are there certain things that we should, skill sets maybe, that we should be thinking of when bringing someone onto our teams? Because it seems to me as business owners, not that y'all can't do everything, because y'all can do everything, okay? But it seems to me as business owners, it's not something we should try to manage if we want to have, we should try to have, whether it's an external source that we bring on, or bring someone into our team to manage that specifically to make sure our businesses is secure, right?
Absolutely.
So any skill sets we should try to lead into?
Yeah. You want to go first, or I go first on that one? Then we'll both definitely answer it, especially since we're.
Well, my answer was going to be, because to try to think of it off the top of my head, it wouldn't do justice.
It's a lot. There's a bunch of different qualifications.
Yeah.
We can definitely follow up with you. But the one I will throw out there for you is it's kind of like if you're going to get your car fixed. All right. You know certain aspects of your car. You know what a serpentine belt might be. You know what a carburetor might be. You don't know how to fix it, but you know what it is. And you can tell when somebody's trying to scam you, or you can tell when somebody knows what they're talking about. So listen for certain key terms. You now know about two-factor authentication. So if you're talking to somebody and they don't even mention that, that's a red flag. think about the terms that we talked about. Think about some of the heads up keys that we sent, that we mentioned to you and will send afterwards. So think about some of that, and are they talking about those things? Are they bringing those things up? See what their philosophy is around security, and just let them talk for a few minutes. And if you're just hearing stuff about subscribing, liking, and building up your followers, then that's where their focus is. They're more of a social media marketer, which is fine. You need one of those too. But if they come in and the first thing they start talking about is, hey, what devices are you using to reach your subscribers, and your followers? If they start talking immediately about password security, two-factor authentication, getting on a Google Suite or something like that, then you're like, okay, I see where their mind is. So that would be, in terms of, like John was saying, we could follow up with you on terms of like what you might see on a resume. But in terms of just general conversation, you meet somebody at a coffee shop, you meet somebody at a networking event, listen for those things in conversation. And that can kind of give you a heads up that, okay, this person's mindset is in security versus in marketing.
Thank you. Does everybody have, particularly our speakers, have maybe 5 more minutes or not?
He's tight. He's got a tight schedule.
Okay.
I gotta read my key.
Oh, please, that's important.
I
I
wish
can
I
have like
could
maybe
read
2
more,
to 3 more questions.
Yeah.
but thank you guys.
Thank you. Yes,
This is
please.
great.
I have so many follow-up things for y'all to do, y'all don't even know.
We are resources and
So I can ask my.
yeah, go right ahead.
And I promise y'all I won't be done much longer. Specifically about platforms like, Tony, what's that platform where you can put, platforms like Hootsuite? Are you familiar with that? I don't know another example.
You're able to, it's a social media manager software.
Oh, okay. No, I don't think I've heard of that.
Social medias from like one of those. I
Right.
always wondered about the
Yeah,
security of those, because
Right.
you literally give it access
Right.
to everything.
yeah. It's honestly, it's similar to having someone from one of those third-party sites recover your hacked account. It kind of goes back to that. Because there's a difference between, for example, the password manager that we described, which is also a third party, but their job is just to manage passwords and feed those for you into a system. They have one job. An organization like what you're describing, or an organization that's going to help you recover your hacked account, they're doing a multiple of things. There's so many steps involved in what they're doing that there's more room for intrusion. So it goes back to what we were saying before about convenience versus security. It's more convenient. No, the only two that I would say, the only way I should say that I recommend connecting those is Facebook and IG, because they're owned by the same company. It makes sense to connect those two, and that's actually in the materials that we're going to hand out as well. It's recommended to connect those two because IG can help you recover your Facebook account. Facebook can help you recover your IG account. But as far as another third party,
Did some right by accident.
you're good. Yeah, absolutely. But nah, I wouldn't definitely recommend one of those.
Okay. And then my last question, it kind of ties to what John said before he left. I really think there's a lot more, especially after we dig into the content that you all are going to share with us and we're going to send out to everyone. Just wondering the openness of you all, rather than us typically what we do is share an email address if you have a follow-up question or something like that. Your openness and willingness to have a later conversation that could be more fire chat style, where we get to kind of some more of those specific questions. We can maybe have people send it to Hustle, and we have more maybe one-on-ones, give the questions in advance, or maybe just showing up to a startup study hall one day and we have one of the rooms dedicated to that. Continue to build startup study hall, because I just think that there's so much here to unpack.
Yeah, there is.
We want people to have better businesses, especially as millennials, the next generation, and Gen Z start to grow our
Agreed.
businesses, because I think while we know a lot about security, we just think it doesn't matter for the
Right.
most part. So
Right.
that, I think that puts our businesses at more risk compared to some of our elders.
Right.
They're a little bit more conscious
Mm-hmm.
because they don't trust nothing on the internet.
Right.
We're just like the internet is the internet. Jack.
Right.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. And definitely we want to stay engaged. We can talk about what that looks like.
okay.
And because, John's, I mean, both of us, we all have crazy schedules. So he and I could chat about, what does that look like moving forward? So, yeah, like a fireside chat where somebody can actually come with their device and say, hey,
Yeah.
I've looked at this link that you guys sent out and I got stuck. It's, what do they call it? We used to do this. Sorry about that. We used to do this tech night.
No,
No, we stopped it, I think shortly before the pandemic,
okay.
and definitely after the pandemic, it just hadn't picked back up. But for anyone not aware, Inmar used to do a community tech night where we go to, I think it was 2 different locations. One of them was 14th Street Rec. I forgot where the other one was. But we would basically have our members of our technology team, about maybe 10 members of our tech team, go there. Anybody could just come in with questions about technology. Hey, my laptop's giving me this weird message. How do I get rid of this on my machine? Why every time I run this app does my screen start flickering up? Or, hey, how do I turn this thing on?
Yeah.
My grandson gave me this thing because a lot of the folks were older.
Yeah.
They got something for Christmas or for their birthday. They had no idea how to use it. So something similar to that, where we could, and when I say we, I don't mean just me and John, where we could open this up and find some more professionals to make this a wider network of those who are in IT who can just provide insights. Because what you heard today is just
I know.
scratching the surface from 2
Yeah.
brothers who just love technology. But once you start opening that network up, the insights get deeper and the hands-on experiences grow as well. So yeah, I think it's a great conversation to have. And
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jonathan and John in his absence. I know I took you all over time, but we really do appreciate it. We'll share this clip with you as well. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the Zoom. So bye-bye to the people there too.
Take care.
You all enjoy the rest of your day. And see you all next month. And we are talking about,
We decided it will be announced very soon.
we will announce it very soon. Have a great day.
Awesome.